It's recording now. Take two.
Hi Mustangs, this is Miss Lemos, attendance secretary for this school, and today I'm here with my brother Sergio Garcia, who is an attorney and who took some time to answer some of the questions that some of the students may have. So,
Hello everybody, how's everybody doing? How are you doing?
good. Here excited to teach some of the kids the importance or assignment to be an attorney. If any of them have thought of it.
Good, well, I think it's exciting.
Well, I think the first question it would be, why? Like, what made you decide, hey, I want to be a lawyer?
I think it happened a little bit after school. I think it was, I was working in a bank and I just saw some stuff that was happening with people that needed help. I went to school, I was just going to school for business, and I took a business law class and I really liked how the process of applying facts to the law, it was an interesting, I guess, class. So I decided, you know what, I don't know if I necessarily like the business law part of it, but I like the criminal law. I saw there was a big trial happening when I decided it was a murder case, and I thought it was interesting the play between the prosecutors accusing somebody of a much higher crime. The person was found not guilty, but it was because of I think it was a little bit of the prosecutor trying to go and abuse their power. If they would have gone with what they had, they probably would have got a guilty plea, but they decided to overcharge somebody. So I always thought it would be a good thing to get into it and actually help people that need help.
That's good. So how long does it take to be a lawyer?
Well, it depends. Law school is 3 years. You could actually do it in like 2.5 years if you take certain, if you do it like 2 summers, right? So it's 3 years law school, and you have to have a bachelor's to get into law school. A bachelor's degree usually takes about 4 years. I think it's 2 years an associate's, and then 2 years for the bachelor's, and then 3 more years for law school. It took me a little bit longer because I was actually working full time and going to school, so it took me a long time to get my bachelor's degree. But it's average, I would say 6.5 to 7 years, maybe, or even shorter. I mean, I know that in high school you could actually take some classes and get college credit. So I think if you do it during high school, you might shorten the amount of time afterwards.
Yeah, it's if you have some time, talk to your counselor. If you're interested, ask her. They will have lists of classes that you can take during high school years. I know for sure if you're interested, focus in English class because it's important. Writing
Writing is very important. I think that's one of the main things you have to write. I realized how much I didn't know how to write until I got into law school. So that's one of the biggest things. Obviously, it's a lot more. There's a lot more fun things to do, and not just writing, but writing is a big part of it.
Yeah. So yeah, if you're interested, send an email to your counselor and ask them, hey, what would it take for me to take some extra classes to help me for some college credits? So let's talk about a typical day as an attorney.
I wish there was a typical day. Days are different. You always have, sometimes you have emergencies. I guess it depends on what type of law. If the type of law that I practice is criminal law, immigration law, and personal injury, so there's accidents. So I mean, it's different for different types of law. But typical day is usually I get up probably around 5 in the morning, go to the gym. You got to get some stress out. And then I get at the office at 8 o'clock, look at emails, look at what came in last night, any phone calls, send any emails you need to send out. And then after that, I have a list of cases that we look at. Also, depending on what day it is, we have consultations where we have clients come in. So a typical day, I guess on a Monday, we'll say one of the Mondays is the craziest days. But usually from like 8 to like 10, I'm reading whatever came in, looking at returning phone calls, returning emails, and then from then on, I have meetings with clients or new potential clients that come into the office the rest of the day. So sometimes it's a hectic day. If there's hearing dates, there's court dates, then we usually go to, I go to court. Right now, because of the COVID-19, hearings are being done video, so I just stay in my office and we do hearings from there. And then leave, don't do this, but I usually leave the office around, depending, maybe between 7 and 8 at night, just depending on how crazy the day was. But on average, is probably about 6.
Long hours, but worth it.
I think so. I think so. I hope so.
So, with all the hours that you said, so how much interaction do you actually have with other people, with clients?
In my type of law, we have an interaction with a lot of people, a lot of clients. There's a lot of interaction. I think a lot of it is interaction with the clients, because you have to prepare, you have to be ready for your cases. And then you also have interaction with prosecutors and with judges. I think it's always good to build relationships with different people, because you never know when you'll need it and when they'll help you. But yeah, I have a lot of contact with people. I guess the majority part of it is contact. Again, I know there's different types of law, like contract law or something like that, where you just stay in your office and review contracts. To me, that's a little boring, but you might like to do that.
There's a question where it says, about if they don't want to go beyond the 2 years of college, can they still work in the legal field?
Yes, I think you could be. I think you probably are better prepared to answer that question. But yes, that you could become a paralegal and just do that. I believe you could be a paralegal with an associate, so it's about 2 years, maybe 2.5 years. But you could work in the legal field. One of our assistants in our office, you and another one are just paralegals and are able to practice. Obviously, you can't appear in court because you do have to be a lawyer to appear in court. But in order to work with clients, prepare for cases, you could do that as a paralegal.
Yeah, and that is what my job consists with him. I do have an associate's degree in paralegal, and I do a lot of the writing, contact clients, get everything ready for him to, appear in the court. Does your job require to travel?
It depends. Since I practice immigration law, I have traveled quite a lot to appear in different immigration courts along the border in different states. I know we've been in California. Right now we've been in California, Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas, and Arizona. We have a few cases that are scheduled in New York. I haven't had a chance to travel up there because of the virus. Everything's shut down. But it does require some traveling. In the state of Utah, you could also travel to different courts. I've appeared in courts all along the state, Park City, St. George, all over the place. But yeah, so you could travel.
That kind of does sound like fun, you get to work and travel at the same time.
Yeah, it is interesting. It is fun. You get to leave the state, so it's always fun to travel.
So that might be one of the best things you like about your job, or because they want to know what you dislike or you like about it.
The best thing I like about my job is when I hear the judge say not guilty, and when they say asylum granted or relief granted. That's always that's the best part. The thing that I dislike the most is that in some circumstances there are certain attorneys and other people that are a little bit negative, and there's a lot of I don't know what the word, I don't want to say a bad word, but there's a lot of competition, a lot of greed, and it does hurt it. I think it does hurt the profession, because people think that attorneys are like that, or backstabbers, stuff like that. But it's not really like that. I think there's a few bad apples, but that's the thing that I dislike the most is just that.
Yeah, not all attorneys are.
Does the most, repeat it?
The challenging problems or decisions you have to handle.
Usually it's the decision of strategy. The way I put it is the clients always make the decision of what to do, but the legal decision or strategy, we usually present it as an attorney, we present it to the people. So that's always challenging, trying to determine, you never know if a decision in court is going to affect the case because you're affecting people's life.
So, like me, I'm a quiet person, I'm shy. Do you think as a person that's introvert, can they still be a lawyer? They're just quiet like me.
Yeah, I think so. I feel like I'm an introvert. I'm not. It takes me a while, but yeah, I think as an introvert, you could still be a lawyer because you got to remember you do talk to people, but you talk to them in a more personal place, right? In a conference room, in your office, and you got to remember that what you have to do is figure out the arguments, the legal basis you're going to make, or the facts that you're going to argue. I think the only time you might not want to be an introvert is when you're in trial, because you have a jury that you have to argue your case. I think for me that's the funnest part. I think speaking to people that don't know you and trying to create a relationship in that day or those 2-3 days of trial to help your client. So you build that relationship with the jury, even though you can't talk to them directly. You try to build that relationship. But obviously there's other cases like in immigration court where you don't have a jury. You do practice and you make arguments to a judge. So you could be an introvert, you don't have to be an extrovert. I'm an introvert, I think.
You would have known about your position or field before starting.
I think I would like to have known maybe how long the bar exam was going to be and what I needed to study. I think it would have been great for somebody to have told me before, like, hey, you need to know how to read better, how to write better, and to know how to think critically. I think when I decided to go into law school, I was like, hey, I'm going to do it. It's going to be easy. But I wish I would have known, so I could have taken those steps ahead of time and just started to read, started to learn how to write, learn where a comma goes. Sometimes a comma makes a big deal.
Yeah. What type of professional, personal skills does it take to succeed in the type of work you do?
I think the biggest thing, characteristic that you would need to succeed is to be a people person, to care about people, care about your cases. I know sometimes people say, hey, you're a lawyer because you're going to make millions of dollars. Yeah, I mean, sometimes that's the case. I'm not there yet. But obviously, I think when you care about something and care about what you do, I think that helps you all around, right? Because you're doing something right for somebody. Obviously, you will get paid for it, but you're doing something that at the end of the day, you will feel like you did something right for somebody else. And the gratitude that they show you is also great.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And obviously, the whole writing and reading part too. Critical thinking. I think critical thinking is important. I know sometimes we just go off whatever we see on TikTok or whatever we see in Facebook, but we got to look at more than that. If somebody says, hey, this is what happened, critical thinking requires you to look beyond that. Who's saying it? What motives they would be saying it? Is it logical that this could have happened? The chupacabras, is it really there or not? So I think critical thinking is very, very important.
And also as a paralegal, I mean, that's a key to understand what we're actually putting together, what we're reading. So if you decide to be an attorney and a paralegal, critical thinking is a must.
Yes, that's a must.
So since we mentioned salary, because you said, what is a typical salary for someone with experience or non-experience?
I think so. I guess I haven't really been in I guess I was. I think that the normal salary would range. From starting, it could be from maybe 50,000 up to 200,000, depending on Obviously, there's other stuff that go into salary that you consider maybe bonuses, stuff like that. And there's non-profit organizations that don't pay as much, but I mean, those salaries could be maybe 40,000 and above. But it just depends on where you go, what place, and what type of law you practice. Obviously, if you open your own shop and you start doing your own, you can make as much as you decide you want to make.
The more you work, the more you make.
Yes.
What do you see as a major issue? Do you see as a major issue or trend in the field today?
I think one of the issues we have seen lately, I'm not going to go into politics, but there has been some attorneys, high-profile attorneys, making arguments that are not meritless. That are meritless. It's just there's no merit to their arguments, and I think it kind of lowers the standard of the profession, right? Because if you just make arguments that are going to get dismissed, if you lie to a judge and you lie, it just affects the profession. But I think that's a big issue, and I think it should be addressed. Obviously, it's going to be addressed above, but there's some of that. I think that's one of the issues I think there is. But another issue I think is no, that's it. Okay.
Well, yeah, so I guess it's important to not lie.
Yeah,
go straight. Just be honest with your client, or as as a client, be honest to your attorney, tell them everything, and then just go from there.
Right. And be honest to a judge.
Yeah, be a judge. Be honest to a judge. Because if another attorney comes out and says, "Hey, you said this, but I found this out," so I guess.
Yeah.
So is there classes, clubs, or anything that you recommend that you think that any students can take during high school?
Yeah, I think I don't know if there's debate class. Maybe debate class is good because not necessarily because you're talking, you're speaking, but because it helps you formulate arguments. Because in law, it's arguments, and debate, it'll help you formulate those arguments ahead of time and maybe think fast, think on your feet, and be with a critical thinking again. Obviously, writing is very important, and any communication class, because as a lawyer, you don't always have to communicate face to face, but you do communicate in writing. So understanding who your reader is, who your audience is, I think is important. So if you could take those type of classes, I would take them, especially in high school. Enjoy them, have fun with it.
Yeah, I think if I would have known communication would have been needed, and as a paralegal, I would have taken it and more extra, because there's times where I have to call the courts. I get really nervous. So I mean, communication, it's a must.
Yeah, and speaking of communication, I really think it's just be yourself. I think I am pretty outgoing, and I just treat everybody the same. Treat a law clerk the same as I would the janitor in a courthouse. You just gotta treat everybody the same.
Yeah, get along with everyone, right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
You end it.
So, do you recommend, like, if there's a student that comes and says, "Hey, you know what? I think I want to be an attorney. Where do I start?"
I think you start with making that goal of being an attorney. Start taking the classes you need, get ready for it, and shoot for it. Do it. I didn't decide until I was in my 20s that I wanted to be a lawyer. So if you start earlier, it's probably better. At least you have more hair when you start.
Yeah. So again, if you have any questions or if you're really interested, starting now, you should send an email to the counselors and ask them, "Hey, you know what? I'm interested. Where do I start?" They'll be able to help you look at some classes for next year.
And also, if you guys want to, if anybody of you wants to, let us know ahead of time. And if the school's okay with it, or maybe after high school, if you want to spend the day at the office or a couple hours and see what it's like, let us know. We could arrange that maybe.
Yeah.
I guess you have to talk to the school about it, but I'm open to it. So.
Yeah, and also if you have any other questions, that you would like to ask an attorney, send an email to the counselor and they can forward it to me and ask him, and then let you guys know the question, the answer.
Yeah.